Welcome to the Jack Hopkins Show podcast, where stories about the power of focus and resilience are revealed by the people who live those stories. And now, the host of the Jack Hopkins Show podcast, Jack Hopkins.
All right, welcome to the Jack Hopkins Show podcast. I'm your host, Jack Hopkins, and today's guest needs no introduction. I'm Arnold. Best known, I think, by a lot of people for his 1994 co-starring role with Arnold Schwarzenegger in True Lies. Do you get that a lot, Tom? That's what people...
I do, but old people my age, they remember the Roseanne show from 6 years before that. But a lot of people, they like that movie. You know, it holds up. They don't all hold up, Jack. And I've been in 150 movies, 4 good ones. And that's one of the good ones. And, you know, people still, you know, I was up last week with Arnold Schwarzenegger up in Toronto filming his Netflix series, Fubar, which it has a lot of similar tones to it.
Nice.
And, but people like that one. And you know, after we made it, it was a big hit, you know, and we all stayed friends. And I thought, I bet every movie's like this. It turns out no movies are like that. You know, I was here lucky to be in it. I'm moving my thing over in case it helps my eye line. I'm good as you with this stuff. I have to have my kid come in here and set it up for me.
Oh, I hear you.
You know, yeah, it was great fun. And, you know, I just want to say I'm here because I appreciate what you do. And a lot of people out here in my world appreciate what you do. And you have the fans, there's people from the Miami Housewives that appreciate what you're doing. There's big time lawyers that are, you know, killers that appreciate what you're doing. It's always funny because they'll send me your stuff. I'll get texts about what you're up to and things. And I'm like, you guys know him? Okay. That's a good thing, buddy.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Let's talk a little bit about your beginnings, your upbringing, because you and I grew up not that far apart in the rural Midwest, or even Ottumwa, I still kind of consider rural Midwest. We're out here in the middle of, whatever.
Where did you grow up, first of all?
I grew up in Trenton, Missouri, which is about an hour west of Kirksville.
Oh, I did. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, my sister went to Northeast Missouri State. It was called then. In Kirkville. And so I had to say something. KTVO, our television station. I was watching. I don't know if it was out Wagner or somebody, and they had these. It's a Sinclair station now, so they have to repeat the Republican far right dogma in their news, and they had a great thing where there's a story that came out about Biden people being concerned he's too old. Every of all their 50 stations they had them line up saying the same words about it. Like the game script, here's what you need to do. And I was like, next time I'm in trouble, I'm going to go down there and talk to them. Shake them.
It's kind of crazy. Interestingly enough, just last week, and it will air here in a week or two, I did a podcast with a lady named Sue Wilson, who is she worked in that industry and who is now out talking about the changes that need to be made, and Sinclair was a big part of that discussion. So it's a problem.
I don't even know that the people in those small towns that work at those stations realize, you know, what's going on. But the fact that it's the station for Ottumwa, Iowa, my hometown, I was like, oh my gosh, I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's helpful.
So it's interesting. I was watching a recent podcast that you did, and you said that about 3 years after high school, you worked in a meat packing plant in Ottumwa, and I kind of had that experience too. I worked in the same food processing plant that my father had worked in for 40 years. I only lasted a year. I was, it was the day that got me was when a friend of mine that worked there, we were sitting out in the parking lot, and you're familiar with this, of a Hy-Vee grocery store, right? And my buddy, we were both just like 18, 19 at the time. And he said, I guarantee you, if we pulled into town and knew nobody, we could sit in this parking lot, watch people get out of their cars and walk in, and be able to tell you who worked at that food plant, because they're humped over, they look like they're broken down, they don't care anymore. And that's when I knew I had to go.
Well, it's hard work. I worked on the kill floor. I started livestock, which is outside, outside Iowa, a little bit like, and then you kind of move up as you get better jobs. You did think will come up. Well, there's a better job. Pulling leaf lard, that was a terrible job. Your fingernails come off. But then I go to the kill floor, which is hard work. Everybody's working very hard, and people always ask me, how do I get a job that I don't get fired from? And I'm like, get a very shitty job. Was a kill floor. They didn't care if you drank. They didn't care if you took speed. They like it because then you work. They didn't care if you can't fist fight on you have to go out to the union hall, which everybody's got very sharp knives.
Oh, man, isn't that the truth?
Stop that. Go behind the union hall. Then everybody after work would pull back behind the union hall. We have a little thing and a couple punches thrown. Then everybody would go to the bar, and everybody had to buy a shot for everybody. So you have 8 shots every night. You're like, God damn. Then I'll say the old timers. There was a couple that I really liked, and they would just come into work, vomit every day, and then go about their work. Like they had and I did see happy people there. My grandpa worked there 50 years. My dad, my uncle, but I wanted to get out of there because I wanted to get out of Iowa because I had this crazy dream of being a stand-up comedian, but the money was good back then, and they had benefits and everything. And I remember after the second year, I started looking around like, how do people stay here? Okay, they get married, they have a family, and I see how happy they are there. And I was like, that's going to be, maybe I have to do that. Maybe I have to surrender to this. And then my third year, I got fired when I got arrested for public nudity at an old folks home. I called it. I call it like just getting arrested for public nudity, but you call me in sick, and I had 2 strikes at the time. Our union was pretty strong back then. You got 3 strikes, and then every 6 months 1 strike would disappear. So then once I go down from 2 to 1, then I know I could screw around again. But this time I blew it because I had 2, and the meatpacking plant, it was Hormel in a tunnel. We went on a very famous meatpacking plant strike. There's a documentary about it called American Dream that Barbara Koppel won the Oscar for. I don't know if it was 1988 or 89. It was after I moved to Hollywood because they asked me to. Harvey Weinstein was the producer. He asked me to promote it. He's like, nobody else out here has worked in a meatpacking plant. I go, yeah, I'll promote it. But it shows how ridiculous that strike was. How our union guys got just completely snookered, because Arnold would say, you guys are, you guys going to be profit participants, so you have skin in the game. You work 38 hours a week, and that's why you paid for all the time, even if you don't work it. And at the end of that, or if you have to work more at the end of the year, you'll get a big check for the extra hours. They didn't want to pay us overtime, but it was kind of a good thing. And then as it got towards the end of the year, then they just said, stay home. We're kind of fine. They were really profit participants. Go on this strike, and the plant in Austin, Minnesota had been on strike for like a year and a half. Like that's their home plant. And we go on a strike to support them, and they fire everybody at a time. They fire everybody at the plant. And so and Austin had gone back, and they fired everybody. And then we said, hey, guys, why don't you come out and support us? They're like, we have too long. So Hormel, being very smart, very evil, they just changed the name on the outside of the building from Hormel to XL. They made exactly the same product. The Cure 81 hams, exactly the same bacon, ham, all that stuff. And they changed the name, and then they had broken the union, so then they hired people for half the wages. And there were a lot of migrants that worked there. These big companies complain about, but they do. If it weren't for the migrants, in our food industry, there would be no food industry. There would be no
Right.
farm industry.
Right. Absolutely.
So, because my 4 younger brothers didn't want to work in the meatpacking plant because it was too hard.
Yes.
And so they hired people that were really happy to work there. And they changed first of all, the meatpacking plant shutting down in the 80s and the other plants that shut down was very devastating for the Midwest and my town. And we're still trying to kind of recover from it. I think we're on the way back with the union stuff coming together. But it was a pretty devastating thing. And then the drugs came in, which my sister sold. My sister a documentary series about my little sister called The Queen of Meth. My little sister was the biggest drug dealer in America. People are like, was it embarrassing having your sister be a drug dealer? And I'm like, not when I was doing drugs, it wasn't embarrassing. But, you know, you really look at the economic thing. I mean, it was just ripe for that stuff. And, you know, pretty devastating what it did. And you know, I think we're still kind of coming back. I think that my party made a lot of mistakes. The Democrats, you know, they forgot about the people that were, because my county, Wapello County, Iowa, was the biggest Democratic county in the country per capita.
Really?
You know, they voted against Abraham Lincoln. And the first time I met Maria Shriver in 1980, she came there with her uncle, who was running for president, I believe it. And that was a place she hit in Summer, Iowa. And now I see, you know, like Trump goes in there and he's speaking at the Tom Arnold Rec Center, which pisses me off. And Tom Arnold, whatever they have a community college there. But, you know, people are, you know, they're very much Trump stuff. And what we have to do is convince them, well, you like insurance, you like that, you like the low cost prescription. By the way, with Biden, the last lowering of prescriptions, I had the last 10 he puts on top 10, and he cuts it like from $700 to $30. I had 3 of them. Like I'm, you know, I have some issues, so I was like, oh gosh, that's amazing. I got those all cut down. So, you know, we have to do a better job. We did slip up and forget about the rust.
And do you find, Tom, because the people in the area that I live in are very similar to the people that you're talking about, do you find that there's this false sense of, well, we are Republicans, we support him, so this mean shit that he says he's going to do to people won't affect us because, you know, we're on his side? And my thing is, once Trump would, you know, once he was in, the whole Republican Democrat thing in his mind would just blur. It's just people, and now he's king shit.
Yeah, he cares. I've known him for 40 years. He cares about one thing, himself. Like, and these people buy into it. Like, and they don't really. It's important for us to lay out the facts. Well, here's what you will lose. You know, he said he would have a new insurance thing, get rid of Obamacare, but better, cheaper. He lies all the time. It's good to be lied. Sometimes you need to hear lies to make you feel good. But yeah, he's not going to pay the tax cuts to the richest people, and it never trickles down to the other people. I think what happens in this country is every generation, someone comes along. There's a disenfranchised group of white people, every generation, and they're coming along, and all of a sudden a guy comes up, the political guy, he's like, "I'm you. I am you. I'm going to fight for you. You're screwed. I'm going to fight for you." And nobody cares. They're giving their jobs to people of color. They have bypassed you, but I am like you. In fact, I'm worse. Like I am whatever race and stuff. And what happens is these guys get behind this figurehead, and then at the end, he collapses. And what happens is the rest of the country, the people of color, women, whatever, they move up a notch. And this group of white folks, Southern Midwestern, that got behind this crazy person, they stay the same. So it happened every generation. You can look and they go, because they're looking for one guy that goes, you are better. You're down there, but you're still better than the best black guy. Or that's really what they want to hear.
Right.
Yeah. And they're still at your top, and they get the fear going. And a lot of it makes 0 sense because they have jobs or they don't want to do those shitty jobs that
Certainly.
immigrants will do, the hard ass physical labor jobs. But they're like, they just want to, they've been wrong. And finally, someone standing up for the white people. And this guy, they think he'll do it. But Trump lies every time he posts this. Again, I've known him I went to the Playboy Mansion with Trump. And people, he did my sports show. You know, I met him in the late 80s. We did it. It was Rosanna and I did an HBO special at one of the Trump casinos that went bankrupt. And he said at the time, we're getting ready to do this show. He goes, "Hey, I got a great idea. I got a guy who has a Bugatti or some 1920s car that was worth millions of dollars. And I'll have him pack it up, bring it up here to Atlantic City. And then I will drive that out. We'll build the stage big enough. I'll drive that. I'll be like Roseanne's chauffeur. We'll drive that big, beautiful car out there. And Duesenberg, I think it was. And we'll drive that big car. And I'll be like her chauffeur. And she'll get out of the car on stage. And I remember thinking, well, that's funny. Now he's in the show. He figured out a way to get in the show, which to me was pretty funny. So we did that. You can see it. You can see what happened. He picked up. And then about 4 months later, I get a call from the HBO people. They're like, hey, that farmer who owns that car, that had that car on his farm, that boxed it up and drove it all the way up to Atlantic City, Trump never paid him for that. He's promised to pay him $30,000. He never paid him. So what do you want to do? I go, let's pay him. It's a funny little joke. Wow. It's a joke about Donald Trump, the bullshit is bad. That seemed funny. But to understand, well, that's really how he did things. And, you know, I knew him, and which is fine. He's the Donald Trump guy from the fake reality show, which I'm so grateful I never did. I'm so grateful. He does this Spy Sports Show, best sports show, period, which is one of my favorite jobs to do at that show, to promote the Apprentice. And he first of all, he does the thing when he's with you, like me and Michael Irvin, John Sally, and all the guys. And right when we start filming, he goes, I just want to say, I am here for tomorrow. I am here because of my relationship with Tom, which gives you a little tingle in your spine. That's what he's capable of that with people. And you're like, well, that's a nice, thank you. That's very gracious. Then afterwards, he said, I have a new vodka or tequila, whatever. Will you come to the Playboy Mansion with me? We're having a party tonight. I go, yeah, I'll go over there with you. He goes, I want you to meet my new girlfriend. I go, oh, yeah. He goes, she's a playmate. She's so freaking hot, man. I go, okay, I'll go there with you. And so I go over there with you, and I meet Karen McDougal. And she's got the buddy thing on. I think she's Playmate of the Year. Seemed like a very nice gal. And I talk a little bit, and then he's like, oh, Melania's here too, and my daughter. Like that. Then they all pose for a picture together. Like, this guy does not care. I worked with athletes that didn't seem to care, but this guy is, you know, and then when he says he's going to run for president, I was like, that is unacceptable. This is going to be a horrible. I tried to wrap all the people that knew him, like I did, people from The Apprentice or Miss Universe, but you know, and it should have been when he started the birther stuff with Obama. That should have been it right there in 2011. And people, because I'll say, as a Jew, if the first Jewish president, if he would have went on TV and said, "I demand to see your birth certificate," he would have never been on TV again. No. He would have never. We would have got together. And I'm disappointed we didn't do that for the first president. So everybody let it slide, and now here we are.
Yes. You know, when I was in the military, we had amongst each other, we had a saying, you know, trust me with your life, but never your money or your girlfriend, right? And it was just kind of a ha-ha thing between each other. But that, to me, the last two encapsulate Donald Trump in the way he lives his life 24/7, except you couldn't trust him with your life either. You know, you couldn't trust him with your life, your money, or your girlfriend anytime.
No. Yeah, and you know, it's plain as day. And here's the thing: he is authentic. Donald Trump is authentic, authentically who he is, authentically bad. Hence who he is. He's authentic. Ron DeSantis tried to run as a Donald Trump type, but he wasn't authentic at all, and people recognize this. They're like, well, nobody will vote for him if you're not authentic. And what's happened with Trump is the people around him have changed. People they used to be legitimate United States senators that cared about different issues or whatever, or America, or the Constitution, or the people serving, or whatever. They have molded themselves into being, and these
Yes.
are guys that they do better. They said it when they're running against him, and, they said all the stuff, and now they've molded themselves into being sycophants for this apprentice version of the vice presidential job, where he is literally running them around like idiots. He is making them fawn over him. And, he went up to Capitol Hill. They all kind of gathered around him. And, and I will say this, when he first started doing that with his cabinet, like James Mattis, the military people, he was going around the room, and we want somebody to say something good about him on camera. And, James Mattis was like, yeah, this is not how it works. I'm in fact, I'm not going to be here at any more of these meetings.
Right.
Because I want to do my job, and all the good military people that worked with him, his chief of staff, all these people, the good ones, they will never vote for him again because they all watch these stories. And Trump's like, well, I'll get shitty ones then. I'll get people that will do exactly what I want to do. And I have no plans or anything like that. There's no policy stuff. There's no, here's my goal. I'm just going to do this. No, I'm just going to fix everything. America is shitty, dark, shitty, and I'll fix it on day one.
Right.
And that's not even, you want things to be better, but how stupid do you have to be to go, okay, he never did it in 4 years, but now he's really going to do it. He is going to do it. And I also think it's important people remember the last year of his presidency, there was a international pandemic, and thousands of people were dying every day. And it was a scary time. It was a scary time for me and my kids. And
It was.
I was so grateful that he had his Operation Jetstar or whatever that got the vaccine. Like, that was a really great accomplishment during his administration. Right. Now he can't admit that because
exactly.
Because his voters, they hate the vaccine, and he's like, now I can't admit this really great thing that was accomplished during my time. So, and the last thing I want to say is he will never say anything bad about anyone that votes for him. It could be David Duke. It doesn't matter. The problem is that he is incapable. If you support him, because it is all about him, he's such a narcissist, he'll pretend he doesn't know about your crimes if you're, but he'll never put down anyone that he supports him. And, you go back to George H.W. Bush won. There's the Republican convention, these far right racists trying to participate, and he got up and made a speech, there's the door. You're not welcome here. Get out, which, can you imagine Trump doing that? Or anybody? So, right. I think this will be a reckoning for, we certainly have to do everything we can, and, and hopefully this will pop the boil, and him and everybody around him will go off a cliff. And that's, but it's going to take a lot of work.
Yes, absolutely. And you said something, Tom, that I think is so key. You said he just comes in and says, I'm going to fix everything. And when I hear him do that, and I think this will resonate with you, the area that I grew up in, it's the kind of language that they speak. For example, if I were to, let's say, have called an uncle of mine and who I knew his car broke down, and if I would have called him and said, what happened? He would have said, oh, it's all fucked up.
Yeah.
If I'd have said, what are you going to do? He'd have said, fix it. There wouldn't have been any detail about it. There wouldn't have been, I think one of the pistons warped, the cylinder walls. And then, okay, so what we're going to do is this. Trump zeroes in on those easy, ambiguous, but specific sounding things. And to a big section of America, we're going to fix this sounds very specific. Right. It's a crazy phenomenon.
We just want to be able to sleep at night. We want the president says everything's fine. I got this. I got this. Go to sleep. This war, whatever we're into, I got this. Now, that's a really good thing for a president. That's
Sure.
Reagan had that, Clinton, Obama too. But when you see his body of work, and there's just not going to happen. I mean, when Trump got elected, that he had the Senate and the House, like all three, and he never got anything done. I mean, he did the tax cut, which raised the deficit like $8 trillion, but
Right.
he didn't get any of the. He was always like, I'm going to repeal this thing and do something great, or I'm having infrastructure week, or whatever, or I'm building the full wall. And then people just had to start lying and saying, well, he built the wall. They will do that. So he won't do anything, and he'll blame everybody else. But just starting from a place of America is this shitty, dark, evil, terrible place. The economy is just terrible. And if you care about facts, our economy is better than any place in the world. We're not as shitty. We're the best place in the world, in spite of Donald Trump. And our military is the best military by far. It's not even close. And so, if your pitch is, hey, we're all screwed. It's terrible. It's dark. It's evil. We're being overrun by people who are different. We are God. God wants me to do this thing. I think it's on them to believe that. I certainly feel like women saved this last election.
Yes.
Women, in general, us guys were like, okay, that guy, he's kind of funny. We'll compromise the shit out of stuff. We'll make deals. Well,
Right.
here's the deal. But I think women who don't always get involved with politics, I think there's a lot of women think is stupid and they got better stuff to do. When they do get involved, when they're like, oh, this is it. This is over. I don't want to see that guy again. That guy, this show is over. I do not want to watch this show. And they get involved and angry and vote. And then that changes things. I hope it does again this time too.
Yes. I want to contrast your life and your relationship with money and Donald Trump's, because Donald Trump came into the world in a family with a lot of money, never knew poverty, never knew a hamburger helper. You reached a pinnacle where you had more money than you ever dreamed of, but you didn't start there. Tell me a little bit about growing up. I know your mother left at one point, and your dad was.
Oh, she left when I was 4. My sister's 3, my brother is 1. I'm glad she left. Like, she realized this isn't my thing. My parents got married at 18 and 16, and so when my dad was 22, he had a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and 1-year-old, which is pretty awesome. He's like, hey, you need to play with us more. He goes, I got to work at it. And he was, once I had my own kids, I'm like, oh no, he was killing it. So there's that. And so there was never, growing up, I knew, okay, if I want something, I got to mow yards, I got to bale hay, and I did get a lot of self-esteem from, these are things that wouldn't happen today where you're 10 years old, you go down to the church parking lot, get on a school bus full of drifters to go 30 house to house and details the cord with bed.
Right.
And but I remember the first real job that I got $1.40 an hour for courtesy. And I'm like, this feels good. I packed my lunch. And when I was 13, my boss was 15. And 15-year-old boys are just huge assholes. So they would always be, and my 13-year-old friends just give a shit. And they fired us one day out by Oskaloosa, which is 22 miles from Tumwa. And they fired us, and there's no ride home. So we had to hitchhike home, and I still had my lunch, but big lunch failed. So I got home, and I took everything out, and I hid it, and I just didn't want my dad to go to work and say I got fired, because they left me. So I called Leo McCurdy from McCurdy Scene. He never got a call from a kid or whatever. I said, here's what happened. I was working real hard for my buddies, and this guy, and they wanted to take off. They fired us, and I want to come back to work tomorrow. And he's like, wow. Again, no one's ever. So I went back, so I didn't have to tell my dad I got fired. I would have loved to have a rich dad. I'm not going to lie to you. People are like, I bet you're grateful that your dad never gave you anything. I'm like, no, I would have taken a rich dad. I had to, if I wanted to go to college, I had to pay for college. If I wanted to do this, I had to do this. If I wanted to have a car, if I wanted to have, whatever. And it isn't. You do think of things. I can't imagine having a father that is so wealthy, gives you basically $420 million from his tax stuff. I mean, that would be. I love that. I love that, but it's not the way that things go. And on the other hand, I get out here, have these dreams come true, do a lot of fantastic things, make tens of millions of dollars, and then I get divorced 4 times, and I give my money. You can't. So I would have liked to have paid a little more attention when I was at University of Iowa studying business administration. I recommend that to everybody because when you have nothing and then you got all this stuff, you assume that's not real money, or you assume that's always going to be there, and you don't really plan for things, and so then you get later on, you're like, what happened to that? Where is that?
Sure.
I had a funny thing at my old college, and it's called the Tom Arnold Net Center, and how you get your name on a building, you have a lot of money. And
Sure.
also these scholarships. I remember one time when I was trying to figure out my money situation, I was like, wait a minute, did I give them that, or was that like a loan? It's the end of the holiday. So I feel very lucky. This, I've been in a 7-year legal thing with ex-wife and the kids, and all and cops, just awful stuff. So I'm so grateful to have these guys. And my dad didn't do anything. I said, Dad, I need a couple of dollars to run to the store. And he pulled his pockets out. Bobby, you got no money. And I've done that with my kids. Daddy, can I have something at a? I go, hey, I got no money. I pulled the pockets out. I said, actually, you do, Dad. In your pants, hanging in your bedroom, in the front pocket, you got $97 there. Like they keep track of that stuff, which is good. So, but you do, you do have if you've been truly poor, where you're looking for points, looking for, you should. And by the way, when I first started comedy, I was that poor. But the reason that I loved it so much, it was my dream. When I was a kid, the only time we heard our dad laugh really hard was when there was a Bob Hope special on. Bob Hope was this comedian who went around to entertain the troops in Vietnam or Korea or Germany, wherever.
Right.
And he did his act, and he brought beautiful women, and there was a lot of double entendre jokes that my dad loved. And I thought, I'm going to do what that Bob Hope does. And one of the first things I did, I moved to Los Angeles here in 1988, and I did a Bob Hope special. And Bob Hope, I'm there with him. He calls my dad. He signs all this stuff for my dad. It was so cool. And so my dad, in the same living room, the same TV that he used to watch Bob Hope specials when I was a little kid, is now watching Bob Hope, and his son is standing next to Bob Hope. Like, that's a magic that you can't. That is crazy. And, and I have to say this. A lot of the kids go to, I like the school to go to here. We had a bit of a drive, but I like it a lot. And at first, I hear a lot of parents like that. Dream it, be it. Like, you can do anything you want. I used to think, I think I'm going to split the difference with my kids. I don't want to get too, but then I thought, wait a minute, every dream I've ever had has come true. Like, literally, the dreams I used to have when I was chiseling heads at the meatpacking, being Robin Williams, being friends with Robin, all of them. So I can't tell them, well, no, that won't come true, because it really has. So I don't know how, but I'm very lucky.
I heard you mention hauling hay. I too hauled hay and mowed yards, and I will tell you, I won't tell you because anybody listening, if there's anything in life that will inspire you to do something else, it is hauling hay in 105-degree weather.
It's awful. It's sticky. You have to take your shirt off. It's so freaking hot. As bale hay, stacking hay, just anything with hay. And what was, my kids, I bring them to my work once in a while. I want them to, they don't have to be actors. They don't have to be producers. I want them to just see what we do. because that's what my dad used to do. He takes the part, and I realized I don't want to do this. I
Right.
do not. I'll do it now to make money and do, hang
Yeah.
out with buddies, but this is not what I want to do. Now, there's a place called Underwood Farms out here that's about an hour and 15 minutes out there on the 101. And I drive my kids there and the other kids from school, and I pay $125 each kid for them to get out and pick fruit and vegetables.
Nice.
Just love it and get it back. And I watch it every time. I'm like, that is such a crazy thing to me. Being excited about getting in the middle of this freaking field.
Right.
But that's, and I hope that they see things. The acting thing. I've done some independent films. They're like, will you do this film? I go, yeah, if you'll give me 2 hours in the studio with my kids and shoot something first. And they have these little studios where they have a court and they have, boxing ring, a police station. But you go room to room, you got everything. I said, let us figure something out. The kids write something out. And my son likes to go down and set up the lights and stuff and build the set. Like he's very interested in that part of it. My daughter likes the other part. And, if that's what they want to do, there's a lot of different jobs in my business. But, if it's just they're like, I want to be famous, I'm like, well, that's not how it works. You're my kid. That's saying for you. There's tradesmen, there's crafts, there's people. It's not all just the people on camera. There's a lot of people working hard to do all this stuff. There are opportunities. I think it's been a couple of shitty years for us with the strikes, and we're not back up to 100%. The studios really back on strike. They had all their content like they do. And the studios, this is how long the strike's going to last. We're going to say bullshit. This is not a good time to strike. We're going to say all that shit that they always say, and then we'll settle when we need it to settle. And that's what's happened. And now we're waiting on the crews. They have till July 20th, I think, to sign there. Because first they had the writers, then the actors. You can't do anything without. And now the crews may go on strike. They're negotiating because this AI thing. And hopefully they'll get that done. And one other thing, anytime I am a very pro union person. And I know the UPS guys, we see a lot of delivery guys say, my son bought himself one of those where you put stack of boxes on, and he likes this.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff. He just loves to get out there with those guys, a dolly or whatever. He's got
a dolly. Yeah.
That too. But the UPS guys went on strike, and then when they settled it, I was like, that is good news for us, the actors, the writers, because anytime a union, whatever kind of union it is, works something out, there's a sort of a ripple effect, because that will eventually get to us. And it's the same way people bust a union somewhere, or people decide not to vote, they convinced that to vote against the union. You're like, okay, that's a little bit of a negative for us. So the more you can encourage these people to be brave and go out and do this thing, the better it is for everybody.
Right. I've got a question about your industry. How long, because here you are, you have this dream, you start off in Ottumwa, you make your way to LA, and you talk about in 88, you're on stage with Bob Hope and your dad's watching. How long is it before you have that feeling and realize I am now one of them? I would assume that takes a little while to realize I'm now a star.
Yeah. Well, I have to. Son, Five Guys is here at the door.
Five Guys is great.
It's great. It's expensive these days. It's like I'll order from there because I'm like, maybe I want. I won't eat the bud.
Great fries.
I will say I was crazy. Like I thought, I'm part of this. I've been, and I remember saying if I could just get to the University of Iowa, I started. I was at the meatpacking, but I just get up there because they got a stage, and I get on that stage, and in 6 weeks I'll be on the David Letterman show. That's what I really believe. And of course, it takes 8 years or whatever it took. But I had to believe that to get up there and do what I was doing. And I wasn't good at it. I had to learn to get good at it by working with people who were good at it. but I needed that crazy thing. Like, I'll do anything. I had $100 by name. I got a job offer in Minneapolis at a comedy club, and then I packed my trash bag and clothes, got on a bus with $100, went to the place. And by the way, the only reason I got a job offer was because real comedians from Minneapolis would come down to the University of Iowa before I would open up for them. And my 15 friends that went to every show, we drink Everclear Punch, which is Everclear water Gatorade. It's strong. When I did that, it dropped. And then when I did my set, we'd all get out and go party. And then the club owner was like, yeah, maybe next time you get your friends to stay for the real comedians. And if you do get them to stay, then I'll give you a job in Minneapolis, this comedy club. And I'm like, well, then we're staying. That's it. So that happens. We stay for them. I get on a bus. I go up. I get land at the comedy club, the comedy cabaret it was called. I go to the front door. I say, I meet the guy. I said, listen, I'm here for my job. I don't have a car or a driver's license. So I'm have to live somewhere very close to here. And he's like, what? Whoa, you moved here? I go, yeah. He said, I had a job. He goes, you have a job for one weekend opening up for $17.50. I go, well, then I got to get another job. So I walked over to the bar, his pub, this huge, got a job as a bouncer and a bar back, and met a waitress who was looking for a roommate for $100 a month. And that was just it. And then I worked real jobs, but then every comedy thing, I sleep on people's couches, go for nothing, do all this bit because I really loved it. I really thought this is going to lead to whatever, it leads to. I just wanted to be on TV one time because I thought if I'm on TV one time, everyone in my hometown will love it. And it turns out that's not true. You'd be actually but you got to have that craziness to keep you in it because it makes no sense. Nobody from Tumble, Iowa is on TV. Nobody went to to be a comedian. That's just not what we do. But from an early age, I do. I'm gonna do this thing, and you get lucky. You get in the right position. And what I thought I was gonna do that evolved. I thought, well, I'm gonna be a stand-up comedian, and then back in 1983 when I was 23, Roseanne, who was a very good comedian, not famous yet, but she came to the club owners at the Comedy Gallery and said, I saw this woman in Denver. You guys are going to hit it off. I want you to work together this weekend. And we did. And we borrowed the MC's car and never came back. I just went out. But she was a very good comedian. And the trick, I think, with men is we know we're good looking, but if you tell us we're funny, like, you got us forever. That's it. But
Right.
she said I was funny. And then she asked me to write some jokes for her act. And a couple years later, in 1985, she went on the Johnny Carson show. And I was watching back at Midwest, my friend. And she did a couple of jokes I'd written. And she killed. And I thought, that's a good feeling. So I came out to LA, did an HBO special with her, played her dream husband, shockingly, in her HBO special. And then it came time for her TV show. Said, first of all, she said, I want you to play the husband. I'm like, I haven't really acted, but I'll come out. I'll see how that goes. And then went out. We auditioned together. And fortunately, John Goodman and so many shows. But you have to write the show because you know my character more than anybody. I go, yeah, I'll do that. So I went from writing some jokes to, okay, I was a comedian. Now I'm a writer. This is what I'm going to do. I brought in half of the staff from comedians from the Midwest I lived with, but I knew were very funny. And I thought, they're funny. They have a point of view. They don't know how to write a script. I can teach them. Here's how you write a script. 1 act, 2 acts, whatever. Yeah, that's easy. You can't teach people to be funny. And so that, it was a lot of responsibility, and especially to look out for her and her, point of view. It's her show, and people were not accepting of it being her show. The older Hollywood types. And I'd be like, okay, well, then you got to go. I mean, you really have to throw you out a window. It's her show, And so that worked for, 6 years. And the second year, 1989, the other writers like, dude, because by then Roseanne and I were dating. They're like, people know this. It's everywhere. You got to be on the show. You got to act on the show. Well, let's write a character for you, Arnie Common. I go, okay, I guess I'm an actor now. So that, then this happens, and I write, and I get a job in a movie or this or that. I go, I guess I'm doing that. But, you do whatever. I do a lot of things now. I act in movies and TV. I do stand up, which I always loved. I go, side Comic Cons. Again, I have 4 ex-wives and 2 little kids. I have to do this. Or I give sobriety speeches about sobriety and mental health around the country, which are very satisfying. And so I'll do whatever, again, I've been in court with this last nut for 7 years, and it's not going to change, by the way. It's not going to the cops won't come anymore. She swatted us, did all this stuff, my ex, the court, really respected court therapist, psychologist, looked at all this stuff. It's all public record. It's crazy. And she said, this last March we were there, well, good news, she's not a psychopath who wants to murder you. I go, well, that is good news. She's a sociopath who wants other people to murder you. She's a narcissistic sociopath. I go, well, what can I do about that? She said, nothing. I go, well, what will she do about it? Nothing. But what you do is you recognize patterns. You can kind of see it coming, like something's up. And then she's out of the house. It's always good. There's nothing I can do. I can protect my kids. I can talk to them about stuff, which my dad didn't do when I was a kid. My mom would show up, drunk and drugs and fall into the Christmas tree. And Dad would just laugh because, he thought that's taking the high road. And I knew that my mom wasn't a mom. There was nothing. She would say, I'm not maternal. I'll never tell you I loved it, whatever. But my sister, who was a year younger, my mom was her idol. And my sister, it affected my sister later in life, the one who became the queen of meth, because she worshipped this woman. I moved in with my mom when I was 15 because I wanted to do drugs and drink and grow my hair and have no rules. I made that decision. My dad had a lot of rules. And I knew immediately it was a bad decision. But it's this is what I said I wanted to do, And I actually went, this stuff with my dad. That's just stupid. I go, let's go. And he's, okay, let me just try. So he takes it, says, in just a second, I just want to measure something. And puts his knuckle here. He goes, I'm just measuring that. And this hurt. His knuckle's so rough. I'm like, that hurt. The other stuff's really going to hurt. So I'm like, okay, let's not do this. But, we'll go through her. And I knew it was bad. But my sister, 14, the first drugs we ever did, or the first time we got drunk was with our mother. That's the other thing. And my sister, who worshipped her life was great until she was 14. Great student, great athlete, great grades. And then she moves in with our mom. Our mom's like, we're going to be drinking buddies, drug buddies, this, and you are my best friend. And I'm going to make you marry a guy, a 22-year-old pedophile. Immediately. She drives her down to Missouri, and they makes them get married to this guy. That, she gave her choices. Hey, you can dump him, or I can have him arrested, or you can marry him. And you're 14, you think you're in love, you're a dumbass. You're like, I will marry him. And so it was a terrible thing. Her life was off the rails. The guy beat her up, and when he died, I'd go get her. And he ended up dying in a mysterious fire in his bed. This is true. It's hard to out. They never really investigated it. But and then my sister was done. You can't go back to junior high if you've been married, And so my sister was like, I've got to make something of this. I'm smart. This drug dealer, my mom's low level, whatever her bullshit is, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to make it a real business and do it very big. And so that's what she did. And her next husband was a biker, president of the Grim Reapers, the Grimy Reapers, we called them, Grim Reapers motorcycle. Yeah, he hated me. I did not like it either. I thought I was preppy. Me and my buddies were preppy. We'd come into their bar. We'd have one end of the bar, it'd be him and his biker buddies just wanting to, but she did that. And the first time she went to prison, the documentary series is good because they have the DEA guys who had hearts, they actually liked my sister, and they had one of the drug deals that she did. She had, there's 3 DEA agents. She doesn't realize that. And they're making this drug deal. There's a couple $100,000, a bunch of drugs. And my sister, in the middle, takes her gun and sets it on the table. And you can see them look at each other, and, they're like, okay. But when they asked the report, are you afraid to do these deals by yourself? She goes, no. It's such a good gun. That gun got her 10 years in prison. That's a mandatory minimum. You could negotiate the rest of it. She went to prison, and I really blamed her husband, who ended up dying in prison. He went to Fort Leavenworth and died because he would not apologize. I mean, he's like this guy with the green grade getting off. He was not apologize for what he did. My sister apologized and turned on some people from the Mexican mafia that had given her the product to build her underground lab in Taiwan, create all this meth. And then she got out, and I got her job at Hormel, that was the best job in town, then I got a call. She's quit her job. Like, yes, and she's drinking. She's not supposed to drink. Okay, and she started dealing meth. But if she stops right now, we will bust her. So I fly in. There were 7 kids in the family. I'm able to get everybody together for a picture with our dad at Jerry's studio in downtown Ottawa. We take a picture of that, and then I walk out there. I go, Lori, I talk to the sheriff, the DA guy. They know you're dealing, but if you stop right now, you're not going to get busted. She goes, mind your own fucking business. And then she got busted again. And then that husband, she had a new husband, and he died in prison. So she had 2 husbands. It is not them. She's the mastermind to this, but she's doing very well. She's driving a forklift up in Ohio. Knock on wood, got another big giant biker husband. But she's doing well, man. And, 2 10-year terms in prison. I mean, it's a rough thing, but there are consequences to behavior, and I hope she just keeps on the straight and narrow.
Oh yeah.
But for the grace of God, that could be. The only reason I couldn't deal drugs didn't because I had to do so. I never went to sleep with any extra drugs.
Sure.
When I moved to LA and you get big quantities of cocaine for reasonable prices, it became a real deal. And I remember Roseanne came and said, do you do this every day? I go, yeah. I do drink, junk chat. She goes, that's not good. I go, is it? She goes, I thought you only did it every 3 months when we went on the road together. I go, no, it's an everyday thing. Well, you can't. I go, okay. So at that moment, that was 1988, I realized I can't do drugs in front of her or anybody. I'm going to have to keep this secret. I didn't consider quitting, but this is going to be a secret. And then, it just escalated, it got out of hand, and in 89, it went into rehab because she lost like everybody did. And so I'm very grateful about that. I'm grateful to her. I'm grateful about that. But, it doesn't always work that way with people. And now, my sister's like, well, now these drugs, people die from taking one pill, which is true.
Sure.
But I think people died from that. Their lives were certainly screwed up. And there's a lot of crime and etc. So,
Sure.
But I am glad she's doing well. And, here we are.
Well, and that was up through about, I think I read 89. I graduated in 84. So I'm pretty confident that some of my friends probably did some of your sister's drugs. I'm almost positive.
Yeah, she went to prison the first time in 91, I believe. And
Okay, yeah.
I helped her. I got her a very good lawyer and went down and talked to the judge and said, she's a mother, kid 7. And I hate her, because they want to send her to prison for life back then. I said, I know she needs to go to prison. Well, maybe there's something we can do and give her a chance, give her kid a chance. And because this poor kid, her son was 7, and all of a sudden they had this big raid with the helicopters and battery rams, and because they couldn't tell the local police they were going to bust her. They had to share this big farm with the underground lab because the local police, including my stepfather, worked for her, and he was the chief of police. He worked for Lori. They all had to come in hard, the feds, and they took the parents out. That was the last time we saw the parents for him. That's the last time we saw the father. 10 years. And his dad, he never saw again. His dad went away and died in prison. So we helped raise him. And thank God, this kid, I mean, he's never done drugs, never drank. He's married to a nice Jewish girl. He works 4 jobs. He's a giant. Plus, he's got some issues. He's a giant. A little angry, but that's a miracle. And the other kids, it wasn't just my sister went to prison. It was all people who worked for her. All our town just a whole generation of parents gone, and grandparents are trying to raise these kids or whoever, and a lot of them didn't make it. A lot of them went right back in the cycle. I tried to employ as many of us as I could at the farm and and try to give them some self-esteem. But if you could not follow your parents to prison, it's a success where I'm from. So I'm sure your friends got drugs. So,
now, do you still have roots in Iowa, family, and you go back, you do things in Iowa?
I have my friends, the guys I grew up with. We're still very close. And the guys that have been out of jail naked, no questions asked. Yeah. But and I go back. I go back to Iowa football games, Iowa basketball games, close to the university. Loyal Hawkeye fan. And there's not as many people. My stepmother died this fall. She was the last. I am now officially the oldest person in my family. But you do go back there, and I like to go back a couple days at a time and see the old haunts. My kids love it. My kids think, this is great. This is like Disneyland here. Look at all this. Look at that farm there. Look at all this. You can ride four-wheelers. Can we do that? Yeah, you can do that. It's just exciting for them to do nothing and drive and drive and drive and, stay in a little motel and do our thing. And, they take really good care of me back at I forget which motel it is in the couple. And they give me 2 rooms and make sure nobody bothers us. It's and lets the kids be, kids. And, and so I do like it, and I do need to go back there for myself because I spent 23 years there. It's not like I grew up in Iowa a little bit, then went to Hollywood. No, that's where I grew up. And, there's a lot of great things about it, and there's a lot of things I care about back there. So, it's good to have, it's good. Now, I don't want to go back there forever. People. I'll tell you what, it'd be a lot cheaper.
Yeah,
well, cheap gas was this fall back there. It's $2.99 a gallon. Like, what? Let's fill this tank up and drive back or whatever.
Yeah. I filled up yesterday. It was $2.99.
Yeah, cheaper. And, that's funny with the gas prices. I was like, I'll get that down. I say, gas prices come down. You stop buying gas. Then you start gas, bacon, eggs, and if you stop buying it, then they go, we better lower the prices. That's always how it is. And we're pumping more gas and oil in this country than any country ever. Trump's like, I'll start pumping it, whatever. No, Joe Biden is pumping. He doesn't like to brag about it. We're doing more than we ever have, than Trump did any place ever has. So, I do like the idea of splitting the difference with some wind energy, solar, whatever will work. But, that's just, and people, that Trump and his guys are really good about saying, okay, now inflation is way down. The stock market is worth it to buy it. It costs more for eggs and milk. And that is true. But all you got to do, I see a lot of stores are lower right now because they're afraid they're going to stop. I mean, this Five Guys hamburgers, holy shit, they're expensive. Like $150. But they're good. You can tackle with the fast food. I try not to order fast food every day, but as a single dad, sometimes Happy Meal. Why are they called Happy Meal? Because they make the kids happy.
Right.
Hey, happy. What do they got? A toy in there? So I try to split the difference. I cook too, and I never cook anything that I won't eat because I'll end up eating what they don't eat. I have that weird thing my dad had. And it's hard to stay in shape when you eat when you're afraid to throw away any food. Like I eventually will sit there and go, I'm going to eat this because I don't want to throw it away. And, it's hard. Kids will make you fat, is what I'm telling you.
Let me ask you, what kind of relationship in terms of, do you catch any heat either directly or indirectly from Trump these days?
Well, he was with Michael Cohen. What my goal was, anything for him not to be president, or to get my friends at the Apprentice put out all those awful outtakes that I've seen. They were funny until he's running for president. Now they're not. He used to on the Best in Sports Show by clip producer. Sports clip producers are genius, man. They can put shit together. His brother was the executive producer of The Apprentice, the guy that talked to Trump more than any human being, before every take, after every take. And The Apprentice is a game show. And in this country, it's a federal law because we had a game show scandal in the 50s. So legally, if you're the host or the star of a game show, you have to be filmed from the second you get there until the second you leave. So they know you're not, the advisors are not influencing your picks, because that's what
Right.
you used to have it. And you have to save that footage forever. Anytime the show syndicates, they're legally required to have all of that footage, the outtakes of this, that, to even sell the show. That never leaves the show. So, there's a lot of stuff, and there's been outtakes of me from my Best Have Sports Show and stuff that if people saw. I would never get elected president like that. They disgusting things, and people's, and it's hilarious. But so with him, I thought that's not acceptable. Like trying to get those executive producers to step up, trying to figure out a way to give me the paying stuff I'd seen, and it was anytime you get involved in politics before. In my business, people say everybody's liberal. Everybody's not liberal. There are a lot of conservatives, a lot of Republicans, a lot of people that have a lot of money and support, and they got behind Donald Trump too, because they're like, he is going to make us more money. I'm Jewish. A lot of Jews got behind him. Oh, he's going to make us more money. And that is true. But, you have to, at a certain point, you go, well, where does that lead? Because this next time he'll crash the economy. He doesn't want to, he has all this weird stuff about, isolating America and stuff that
Right.
just won't, it just will make things terrible. He's got the really terrible people with it this time. He had some really good people with it last time. They're like, whoa, that's not, hey, let me talk him down a little bit. But this time he won't have any of those people. I think that, I have a responsibility in democracy. It takes some work. It takes work to get together. And it is my responsibility, especially as a dad with young kids, to, if I see something, say something. Because it will matter. It'll matter to my kids more. I'm sure I'm on Trump's list. It's funny because with Michael Cohen, as I get ready to do the Trump stuff, I realized, well, that's a guy I got to get to flip on Trump. So I go out to New York and run into him. I knew what hotel he was at. This before he flipped, and I'm like, "You got to flip on Trump. He's terrible. He doesn't like you. It's a bad." The divorce said, "You got to do it hard. You got to pull the band-aid off." I literally stayed there until he did. Like he'd get off the elevator, I'd be there. And he was in on it. We posted pictures together, and as you can see in this trial of Trump, that Trump would see the pictures and say, and Giuliani called this guy, like, what are you doing, man? He hates Tom Arnold. Why are you with him? Hey, he's the most powerful man in the world, and you're messing with him, like that kind of shit. But, I'm not, everything I say about Trump, he knows is true, or his family, so he's, I got a video of him slapping me, it was pretty funny one time, but I have nothing, the only thing I fear is that bad things are going to happen to my country and my kids in the future because of him. And so, we got to get up. Like I said, I've never been this political. I supported Tom Harkin, who's a great senator from Iowa, a Democrat for president in 1992. Rosanna supported the Clintons. We had them in our house. Now she apparently thinks they're criminals. But, you do that stuff for issues. What is this issue? Is this going to be good? Do they support unions? Do they support insurance for people that have pre-existing conditions, whatever? The basic things. And school lunch, which is there's a lot of kids that don't have lunch in school and support that stuff. And, we always depend on the Republicans to support, kind of keep the fiscal, get that, not make sure the spending didn't get out of control. And then when I grew up in Iowa, Democrats, the social stuff, and then you had these great Republicans, and then you met in the middle. And when I was in high school, what we did was we went, our debate coach would be like, you're Democrats, you're Republicans, let's go to the Iowa State Capitol, and we'll pass the bill. So we all went in. That's how you did it. You worked together, you worked, compromised, and we had some great Republican governors. Robert Ray was great, and different people, and so that's my dad was Republican. Everybody, So
Yeah.
that was the old way, and now it's not that way, and
No.
it, you know, and so I am, I think people like me have to continue speaking up, doing research. My friend Lauren Windsor, who goes,
Oh, yes.
she went into the Supreme Court, and you got to expose stuff. You got to see transparency. And a lot of these people don't care. They're like, I'm gonna just say this stuff out loud, which
Right.
is pretty shocking. So I depend on great journalists in this country to great stories, to tell the truth. Trump's got a thing where he's like liberal mainstream media, they're all liars. He asks if it's people, they're all liars, and the only people they can listen to.
Sure.
Where do you get your news? Research on the internet. Don't believe any conspiracy. There
Right.
was conspiracies. Then
Yes.
we found out the saving pedophiles that died, like Superman.
Right.
Having that knew Jeffrey Epstein better than anybody. Period. They hung out with him at parties with young girls and him, and you know that you can see the videos of
Right.
it. And but somehow they're like, well, we want to see the Epstein tapes and stuff. His who flew on his plane, and Trump like, I didn't fly the plane. Yeah, he did fly the plane. They say, and it messed him up.
Right.
I never flew on his plane, and I probably would have. He's like, hey, you want a free flight somewhere? I didn't know that much about him. I bet him.
Right.
I'm sure I'll take a free flight. We're going to save the world. Yeah, but that's just we all learned a little bit, and just the fact that he represents all of this. The worst of the worst. And I do get why people say he's because like Roseanne said when he said Rosie O'Donnell was that big, and I said you got to defend our friend Rosie O'Donnell, and she said, well, he never called me a big that big. Like that is the thinking. There'll be a black guy that think, well, he never called me the N-word, he never called me down, he never. You think you're the one person, and you're not. That's why he is very good about massaging that part of your ego. Or I'll give you a little bit. I mean, that's how he raised his kid. Really shitty to him. One of his kids had a drug alcohol problem, got arrested, Trump kicked out of the family, and who took care of him? Me and my friends took care of him. And I would tell him, listen, man, your dad's an asshole, but he's like that old school thinking where, drugs, the best thing he can do is, he doesn't know how the real story of this stuff. I'm sure eventually you'll be back in, but you got to take care of yourself first. And so, that's what good people do. And so, but I don't know. I don't know. You've got to believe that he is Jesus Christ to not look at everything else around it. Like it has to be something of God thing, because otherwise it makes no sense.
No.
A guy that's, so disgusting.
Right. Well, one reason I, among many that I wanted to have you on, and you mentioned Lauren Windsor, who I'd love to have on the show as well.
Yeah.
You and Lauren have put your neck out there. Mm-hmm. And see, that's what, I mean, there are some people who are willing to talk in their private circles about Trump, but there are too few people like you and Lauren Windsor who come out publicly and relentlessly and just keep hammering home these important points. And we need more of that. Do you see, between now and November, do you see anyone else in the Hollywood industry doing that, like De Niro, yourself?
De Niro, I love the guy. How do you, like 80 years old out there, and it's some people in business are, hey, let's not talk politics, he doesn't give, he knows who Trump is. Nobody's born in New York, and he's not going to stop. And it's Robert De Niro, so you really can't go, well, this hat, whatever. I mean, Trump can't. But he's maybe the most respected actor of my life. and he's putting it out there. Like he's, and what I need is the people, younger guys that worship him, that have worked with him, that love him, to also step up. People need to all step up. I get it. It's hard. There's so much chaos, and it's traumatizing. Turn on the TV, turn on this, and it's getting worse. Fox News is getting work. They're all in. They're
Yes.
going to criticize Joe Biden all day and not say a bad thing about Trump. They're all in. This is their deal. I hope they go off the slip too. I assume that after this election, Trump loses, they will sell Fox News.
Yes.
It's
Yeah, it's a safe bet.
sure that happens. There are a lot of people that only care about money out there. They don't have any. If they really cared about money, they'd have a little bit of foresight to go, well, what's that going to happen after? How will that be financially after this guy burns everything down? But you have to look at that, and more people have to step up. There are people like Jeffrey Katzenberg, he's a studio owner. He's up here, and sometimes those guys don't want to do that. He is really taking it on. He's with the Biden campaign all the time. He's very smart. He's smart about communications and video stuff, and he's rounding people up. There's a big, I don't know if it's today that out here that George Clooney and a bunch of people are doing a thing. I think Rock's coming, and but Jeff Casper organized that, and he's staying on it. See, a lot of times those guys are like, well, I've done it before in the 80s or 90s. I'm not going to. But this guy I was reading about what he's up to in the New York Times. He's motivated. He's a great guy. But he's very extremely powerful in our business. But this fight I got into with Mark Burnett was a Jeffrey Casper party, which is the party, all the stars in there. And, first they were like, they're going to kick me out. I go, well, then you better kick his ass out and let me know, because I'm going to be waiting for him to finish this shit up on it. And then Casper was like, okay, Tom, you go back in. But here's the thing. If you see him, don't throw down on him. I won't see. I won't. Buddy, he started it and just was, so, the getting back in that party, spend the rest of the night at that party was the best party I've ever been to, because everybody's like, what the fuck? I said, what up? And it was great. But, people like that, and I think there are, a lot of reasonable people. I'm always happy with the Jews, my fellow Jews step up and go, this is just not, because Trump's always like, why move the embassy, whatever, which is a complicated thing. And also, he brought the evangelicals with him. By the way, evangelicals, more power to them. Why evangelicals? But here's the thing. They say they love Jews. They don't love Jews. They love Israel, the land, Israel. And what I'm told in the rapture, this thing they believe, is that Jesus comes back. Jesus was a great Jew. To us, it's not God. It's like one of the best human beings of all time. Comes back, and what ends up happening to the Jews is they need a bunch of stuff, and then we get incinerated if we don't convert to Christianity. We get incinerated. So their plan is to incinerate all of us. Those are Trump's best buddies. Now, I don't believe in the rapture, but these guys do. And anybody that believes in the rapture should not be in politics. It's like, here, Jesus comes down, incinerates everybody, except that. Right. That's what went. So, you shouldn't be. Because your long-term thinking is, you don't care. Well, if this goes sideways with this war, whatever, Jesus will come down and do this. And I can promise you, Jesus is not coming down. Right. Things can happen. There is a thing I believe in the universe that is bigger than me. Right. They create all of this. I didn't. You got to think that way. That you are not the biggest shit, and there's something more powerful out there that has, because otherwise it's a lot on your shoulders. Oh boy, yeah. And I think Trump believes that he is that guy. No, because he doesn't have any religion or the Bible or the Constitution. He's never read any of that. Right. And I like what people call it out. He's like, well, I don't want to share my favorite Bible verse. They're all very, but if these white evangelicals really cared that they say they care or live like Jesus, they would not be. What they care about is power and controlling people, controlling women, and it's sad. And people are stopped. A lot of young people don't get involved with organized religion because it worked for a long time. Saying, okay, if you don't do this, you're going to burn in hell. Like, that was scary. Yeah. What some human being came up with that, like, we're losing people. We need to. Yes. And but now young people, you gotta. I think these religious organizations to have a great service. You know, they're community centers and towns. I mean, it's got to be by you know, you get by promotion. You know, like you'd have to do this. It's like you want people to go, I like what they do. Like they are,
Yeah.
you know, they've got some peace here, and I like what they do. Because to sell young people on this stuff is just they're like, yeah, I don't believe in that. I have a bigger worldview. But you know, you need to attract people by doing attractive things and say, this is how you'll feel better if you're part of our thing. I don't know.
Right. Well, speaking of young people and doing the right thing, you've been involved in a lot of charity work. And I know one, I believe it's called Miracle on First Street, which was providing toys and other services to children who were in some unfortunate situation.
Well, here's the thing, and this was something about Arnold from day one. I guess about 35 years ago. He's always been, you got to be observant. You know, by the way, nobody loves this country more than Arnold. It's just a fact. He's immigrated from Austria. He loves America. Like being in Washington, D.C. with him and him going out and looking at the monument is so annoying. Like, look at Lincoln Memorial there. Did you know this? Like, he loves this country. You know, in there with nothing. Every dream he's ever had has come true. But he always stressed, you got to be of service. You got to be of service. You got to, you know, so the Miracle on First Street, something we've done for 30 years. And we give out 10,000 gifts to kids that live at South Central LA that don't get it yet. This may be the only gift they get. And the police, we work with the Holodeck police division down there, they wrap all the gifts. And Arnold, I show up and do the, you know, with Santa and do the thing. But it's really been a great thing to see. You know, we had a Mayor Barragosa was our mayor of LA, and Anthony Barragosa, and he came down there with us. There's always politicians there with all parties. And that was where he got his Christmas gift at the Holodeck back in the day. Like, that was his one gift. And you see these kids, people light up a couple of days before, and, you know, it's just a great feeling. And we give them gifts, and, you know, Thanksgiving, we give everybody turkey dinners. I make my kids come down. They like coming down to see what this is about, giving back, and that's just what you do. And Arnold's done that. You know, he's given hundreds of millions of dollars. He's got the After School All Stars that I help with. It's an amazing organization for kids that are at-risk kids in the inner city that, you know, would never get an education otherwise, and he just pays it forward. And, you know, his ex-wife and her family, you know, I think that was one of the big attractions with Arnold and Maria, because, you know, first of all, her family is very loving, and he didn't necessarily have that. You know, his dad was a drunken Nazi, and his mom, you know, because that war, very, very cold, you know, and he sees Maria's family, it's like, these guys are loving on each other and all this stuff. I want in on this. And, you know, her father-in-law started the Peace Corps, and his mother-in-law, who was a character, Eunice, started the Special Olympics. And this is what these guys did. And they really did it. They really were involved. I mean, I got to meet a Special Olympic ambassador, or whatever you call it, for the national, which are held in Iowa here. The guy, so I was with her, Eunice, all the time, and she weighed about 80 pounds. She had a Birkin bag that weighed 400 pounds. But she was no drill. She'd get in, and from the early days when they started, you know, all her grandkids had to be involved with it too. You know, all those kids, the other kids, and they had a big pool out there at their house, and the kids would go out there to swim. And if one of the grandkids wasn't doing it right, wasn't teaching it, she'd strip off and jump in there. You know, like these people are true and true. You know, and here there could be no more heroes. I know that JFK and RFK are heroes, but Eunice Shriver went to JFK and said, "We're starting this Special Olympics." And he was like, "Well, I can't." No, you are doing this. To his brother, this is why I'm going to raise a hell. And he's like, "Oh my God, we have to do this thing," because he's intellectually underdeveloped kids are not getting any respect anywhere. One of the things I did too with the U.S. So I went to over to Okinawa. I went over to Japan, then Okinawa, the islands, to see the troops, entertain. They had like 5 Burger Kings of that. But I gave like, but you do all the cool stuff, but also they were having the first ever Special Olympics there. And people, the Asian countries specifically, that they kind of did not want, that to be seen as something
Right.
that they, and it was a very cool thing, people from there, from Japan, and the athletes from there, and it took a long time to get it where they'd be like on board with this, and it was very, that's what this family does. They do this, and then San Diego's like me out to go out and support it. It's a wonderful thing.
And that has to be, I would think, one of the cooler things about your success. The money, of course, is always nice, but just what it's allowed you to connect with in terms of other people that we've read about and known about, and that are some of them kind of the hero status, as you said, and to not only to meet them, but to be working with them.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing sometimes you just have to say, wow, I really have
Well,
done well.
it is, when I was sitting with Arnold, when we started acting last week or whatever up in Toronto, and, you can tell immediately how close we are. Immediately the chemistry, they have other good actors there, but you can just see we're back at where we've always been. We're doing this thing. He makes me schnitzel for lunch. We sit outside of his trailer. We smoke a stogie. He makes some videos for my kids. And I really thought I like this feeling. And I think when you get in a chaotic kind of a situation that's with a kid's mom that have had for 7 years, you forget. First of all, your circle gets very small because you're like,
Sure.
I need to be on point for these kids, and nobody wants to hear about this. They don't even want to read it. I do recommend I got a couple of single moms who are just killed. They give me good advice. You need to have a mom at school, like a school wife, who will tell you, because all of a sudden you're cut out of all this stuff. They'll say it's crazy hair day or it's teacher's birthday. We'll put together. So I know a lot of great moms, and I know a lot of great single dads too. That I didn't realize there were so many single dads that are killing it, that have been in similar situations. Now, theirs may be better now, but you reach out and you realize, these people are, there is not just what I'm dealing with, but my job every day, and I feel like as I've had some health issues, but which I knock on wood have recovered from, but my job every day that I'm alive is one day more that my kids have this a great parent in their life.
Absolutely.
It's so easy for me. I get most of my self-esteem from this, from the parent, from learning. So I make mistakes. I do this. I get, all this has made me a better father. Don't tell her that, because I take nothing for granted every day, and I have to compensate. But I am, you get a little wall of protection. If she does something, shows up, and kids are like, I think Mom's outside. I do say, and if she does something, I do take a moment and go, that wasn't okay. My dad never did that. I go, that wasn't okay. I don't treat people like that. I want you to treat people like that. And then we move on. Because it is her mom. Yes. You're predestined to love them. Both my son was born and went, this kid loves me unconditionally. That's why I've always looked for a marriage. Get a marriage, because there's conditionally. And he loves me. If I was a shit dad, he would love me. So I might be the best dad I can. I think being in service, I have a heart cath. Last 22 years, can't no cortisone. Biggest heart cath in America for kids with heart defects and heart disease. And I get so much self-esteem out of that. And not only that, but it has saved my life. I didn't know I had heart disease or heart failure until I got out of the cath. Until I hanging out the cath. The pediatric cardiologist one day weighed about 320 pounds. Like, I was Auntie, I'm in the med tent with all the nurses who I love, that all of our counselors are volunteer nurses.
You bet.
And the new pediatric cardiologist looked at me and goes, whoa, have you ever had your heart tested? And I'm like, my heart, buddy, My heart's off. It is so fast and so loud. It sounds like someone's beating on the cabin right now. And I go, just take care of the kiddos. He's like, stop down to UCLA tomorrow. We want to do some tests on you. And so I did, and they gave me, and I immediately, they went right into the surgery, put in stents in me, and it saved my life if I had. And so it's a very selfish thing. Plus, these kids inspire, no matter what health issues I've had. I had organ failure 4 years ago, early at COVID, and a mini stroke 2 years ago, and this last year I got a couple pretty big cancer surgeries and complications with infection. But these kids live with it. At one time during 2010, I went into a phone. Like I had something blew up inside me. And I woke up after 3 weeks, and you lose a lot of weight. Oh, that's what. But I looked down, the doctor showed me, well, this is what your body needs to get. And see, open wound that I had to have a wound back on for thumb and cut out the dead stuff for 6 months. And then he goes down to near to my side. And I had a colostomy. They're a lot of me. I go, oh, okay. I got to finish this. But I thought, let me tell you, you're lucky because it's not permanent. It's 90 days. And I'm like, okay. And then he told me later, it will only be 90 days. He thought I'd be so depressed. What I found out is this wound, this giant wound, has to look different. And to get this taken down. So I had to print a picture of that, how that wound was supposed to look, because it wasn't healing. I put it on my mirror, and every day I just kind of manifest that. And 90 days, I went in, they took my colostomy out, but I prayed for that. And by the way, before that even happened, there's kids in my heart camp who have always had that's awesome. And are you're swimming, and you just top. I had no idea. It doesn't bother them. That's just the way it is. I know a lot of people that live with it. Anyway, he took it down, and then I prayed on the way to the hospital. Please be able to take this down. But I didn't pray. Please make sure I don't get MRSA during the surgery. And I had no love handles for a moment. Like I looked at my body, and I was like, "This is awesome." It's cut here. I still don't have a belly button. My kids like, "Are you with alien?" But I said, and 2 days in, they're like, "Your temperature's up." 3 days. Okay, you got MRSA. We're gonna go open you back up. I go, well, what about the prostate? No, it will stay down. So there's always some kind of weird complications. But when I see these kids, they're just they're 4 years old, and they have I'm trying to be as efficiently important now. But they're not. They're like, let's get into, where they have our cafe down at the Catalina Island. Let's dive in the water. Like they're not going, oh, woe is me. They just do it. They live life. And got kids that have 2 heart transplants. They're out there at the camp this year. In fact, the camp this year, camp's in August, and the kids at the camp this year would not have been alive 20 years ago when I started, because it's the advancement in these brilliant doctors do in utero heart surgery, and the devices that we have now, they can put in their bodies. And I went down at our gala. We entered a guy that invented a heart valve that you don't have to crack your chest open. It goes into the pubic area where your stents go in. And I will say this: you can appreciate, but they're still going to shake you.
True.
Waits out, and then it opens up. And because I assume what he sees, I'm going to have that. Arnold's had a couple. And what a much better way to get it than cracking your chest.
Oh, yeah.
Going in. And just the innovation that's going on. And there's kids at the camp that have these that way. And, it's just inspiring. And the kids, a lot of them, if they knock on wood, go to camp every year from the time they're 7 to 17. They come back to want to be counselors, or they want to get in healthcare. They want to get their degrees, and it's pretty amazing. These kids, when I first started, the kids were embarrassed about their scars, and I said, I took we have a scar competition. I took my shirt off, and go, look at these first. I had no belly button, whatever. And so I said, we got to be proud of our scars, guys. And so the boys, every year we have a scar competition. They're so excited. I give up their cash prizes. And I get out there. Oh, I had my kidney removed, so I got a scar back here that I think I'm going to win this year. And another thing is that these kids, they have never slept away from home. They like imagine being a parent, how freaked out you'd be, about freaked out. And this is the first night or 5 days they ever slept away from home. And we do not let the parents talk to them. If there's an emergency, we got a whole medical thing there, but we don't let the parents talk to them. We'll keep them posted. And that's hard for the parents, but it's so liberating for these kids. Again, because of social media. These guys are the only kids in their gym class with the scar. Now they've gone to a camp with 400 other kids who have those scars. They keep in touch on social media year round. They have this whole thing. We get the parents hooked up with therapy and insurance. We help them. We never have taken a dime from a kid, but it becomes a whole year thing. It becomes this part of a group, because we all need to be part of a group. Or several. And this group, it was pretty easy to isolate themselves and fearful parents. And I think that's the best thing we do. We give them the gift of having fun at summer camp, like every other kid. That's really the goal. Right. Our goal is not to heal anybody or solve the world. It's that these kids get to have the same fun I had when I went to the Y camp outside of Atumwa. Although we don't let them do the gun thing. Guns and But the last thing I was saying, when I went to Y camp out there in Waffle County, they had a kissing group. They would never do this out. Where our 14-year-old counselor, 15-year-old counselor, would and the women who I was in love with, who had no mother, these 14, 15-year-old women I love, you could pay a nickel and they would kiss you. Back of the line.
That's great.
I understand the love that I had for these beautiful counselors.
Right.
Now, that probably wouldn't happen today. But this whole kiss I got for many years, and just see it like this is amazing. This beautiful woman is going to kiss me.
It would be at least $1 today, right?
I mean, it's a gift, and that's sad they don't have that.
Yeah. Well, and so it's so multifaceted. Like you said, you've got counseling, therapy for the parents. So you're not just changing children's lives; you are changing entire families' lives. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And that's what you just want to be a part of something. And again, you'd be so much self-esteem. Jimmy Kimmel's son Billy has had 3 heart surgeries, and the first his cardiologist is works in camp, and so with the first time they saved his life, we said, well, now we got to get Jimmy involved in camp. Selfishly, my thing is always we got to raise some money. So Jimmy Kimmel's one of the best guys ever before this, and he came out in a gala, and he auctioned off. He would come to people's houses and make grilled cheese sandwiches. Like this is his.
Wow. And
we made like $400,000 because he go, okay, I'll do 4. People are paying. You'll come to my house and make grilled cheese. Yeah, and he'll really do it. And you feel grateful, and you also feel grateful that when my kids are born, you're hold your breath, and who knows what happens in life. But you have a lot of empathy for these parents. These families are like, oh shit, what does this need? What is because that's everybody would agree that your kids are thinking you care more about them. Right. You can negotiate other things with the kids, so that's the deal breaker. So anyway, Jack, I gotta get in there and see what's up. I hear my son yelling.
You got it. Hey, Tom.
Fortnite about swearing, and when he swears, him and his buddies, I shit talk each other. I say, I should talk to my friends when I was young too, but don't. If anybody outside this house or other parents hear you, or at school, you will have no friends. And I'll once in a while hear you swear, and I'll consider like, I go, where the fuck did you learn this? He has no cadence. So I'm like, okay, I have to do better.
Right.
Oh, well,
I hear you. Yeah, hey, Tom.
Yeah, buddy.
Thank you so much for doing this. Wow. maybe in the future, as we get down closer to the election, we'll reconnect. But fantastic things that you are doing. You're not somebody who has just achieved success and greatness and then said, "Oh, okay, now I'm going to kick back and relax." You're making a difference in the lives of people that probably would not have a chance without it. So thank you.
That's why we're here. Well, thank you. Thank you, buddy. Good luck to you, family. Take it easy.
Hey, this is Jack Hopkins, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Jack Hopkins Show podcast. On this episode with my very special guest, Tom Arnold. Please check out my website, jackhopkinsnow.com. That's my newsletter, and that's where I focus on putting out material, articles, videos, posts on how to build and maintain emotional resilience. I know a lot of people during these times are stressed and fearful, and that's the whole focus of my newsletter, is to get people over that hump and into a place where they've gotten past just surviving and can start thriving. Thank you again for tuning in to this episode of the Jack Hopkins Show podcast. Please be sure to hit like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next episode of the Jack Hopkins Show podcast.